Are live.
Well, hello everybody and happy hump day, happy Wednesday. Normally at this time, I would say in the beautiful land of enchantment, our beautiful state here in New Mexico, but I'm so excited today. We are joined from I'm gonna let Ernie give you all the details, but from different states in our region. And so we're gonna hear all about the weather and all of the great fun stuff that's happening. Welcome everybody to our webinar series, our monthly webinar series. As you guys know, we've been doing this for, well, we're going on 6 months now. And so we're super excited to have your support out there in the community. We appreciate what you guys have been going through, and we appreciate that you let us help to support you, to all of our small businesses out there, and in this case, all over the country. We're excited to have you guys join in. We have some opportunities that we want to share with you today, ways to enhance your business, ways to network, ways to grow. And that is why we are joined by this very elite group of leaders in our community. And so we're excited to share who they are. But first and foremost, my name is Shannon. I'm with the Albuquerque Hispano Chamber of Commerce. And twice a week, we bring to you some fun, important topics. This month happens to be Hispanic Heritage Month. So we are celebrating our Cultura y Herencia all month long, bringing you really cool topics and subjects and things that are important to helping you grow as a business, grow as a community, and help to increase the commerce. And so today's topic is going to be a fun one for sure. But I want to give a couple of shout outs before we get started to our sponsors and our supporters of this particular webinar program. So this month, as always, we like to thank New Mexico Tech. They're a partner with us here. They help us with our IT, and we appreciate the help that they have given us over the last 6 months with the Zoom platform. Also want to thank Walmart this month. They're one of our sponsors and supporters of what we do, what we do here in the community, so we're thankful to them. And so, you know, during this month, usually right about now, we're all getting ready to pack our bags and get on a plane, because we're headed to some great place somewhere in the country to all convene, gather together to celebrate with the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Well, obviously, COVID has changed those plans, and yet another event that has gone virtual. However, this is the one event you must attend. So today we're going to talk about why it's important to you and your business and the community, and we're excited to hear from our panelists. And so with that being said, I think I want to start with Ernie, and I'd love to see if everybody could introduce themselves, tell us who you are and what chamber you're with, and then we're going to start with a fun conversation. So, Mr. Cidabaca.
So thank you, Shannon. Ernie Cidabaca with the Albuquerque Hispano Chamber of Commerce. And one thing about New Mexico Tech that I know Shannon was going to bring up, but they were recently named the 4th best Hispanic serving university in the entire United States. So that's a big deal for New Mexico Tech. They are one of the best technology universities. They rank sometimes higher or just a little bit lower than MIT and Stanford. And so a big shout out to our friends at New Mexico Tech. Thank you, Shannon, for hosting this, and we'll get on to the next.
Stephen, you're next.
Well, wonderful. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Shannon, for the opportunity to join this distinguished panel here today. My name is Stephen Trujillo. I'm the president and CEO of the Latino Chamber of Commerce here in Pueblo, Colorado. We are proud to represent our small business community and really all of our businesses here throughout Pueblo and Southern Colorado, and always proud to be able to join with our dear friends at the United States Hispanic Chamber and within Region 2 as we share information, share resources and best practices about the amazing things that we're all doing across the country and how we can continue to help one another to help our communities. So it's a pleasure to be on today's call. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Monica, you're next.
Hi there, Monica Villalobos. I serve as president and CEO of the Arizona Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, where we're glad that the weather is getting much better here. We had a heat wave with over 100 degrees every single day, but now it's cooling off. And looking forward to logging on to the USHCC convention coming up and meeting folks.
I did see a weather report, it's like 100 degrees in Phoenix, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, so.
Yeah, no, that's cooler. That's cooler actually than it's been, so we're happy.
Well, Joe, you're next.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Shannon, for providing this opportunity. I'm Joe Aldaz. I'm the part-time president and CEO of the Colorado Springs Hispanic Chamber, and just love the opportunity to engage, network, and look at potential ways to collaborate and build our network as we get ready to attend the virtual national conference.
Wonderful. Mitchell, you're next.
Hi, I'm Mitchell Garz. I'm with Utah's American Chamber of Commerce. I'm the president and the chairman of the board. Always a pleasure to be here with the National Chamber and with such good groups that are doing excellent things in the community. Looking forward to networking and looking forward to the national. I guess we could call it a webinar now, or the national COVID-19 reunion.
Yes, exactly. It is. And it looks like we have somebody joining us. I don't know if I have a name yet. I see a screen popping up. Angelique, if you're out there, our little elves behind the scene, if you will, they keep us live and moving around. I see something Latino innovation, but I don't know who is the person behind the screen.
I will figure it out and I will get right back with you.
You got it. Okay, because we'd love for them to introduce themselves, and I see the mute going on and off. We'll give them a second there.
It's me. It's Jessica. I have technical difficulties, so I'm using my phone and my computer.
Quit teasing us, Jessica. Quit teasing us.
I'm sorry.
Speaking of Jessica, so before we get started talking about the United States Hispanic Chamber and about the national conference that starts this weekend, we do have a special guest with us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Ernie come on, tell us a little bit, introduce Jessica, and then we'd like to turn it over to Jessica for a little bit. So Ernie, please.
Well, thank you, Shannon. And at the USHCC, I'm proud to represent Region 2 on the board of directors. And so we have six, I believe it's six, that are region members on the board at the USHCC. And Jessica, I'm not sure, are you Region 6? Is that your region? Okay, so it had not been filled for quite some time. And there had been a lot of discussion about getting that filled because we have 21 board members at the USHCC and now 6 of them from regional chambers, which is a great percentage. And let me tell you, there was a lot of discussion about filling that void. And Jessica, man, I tell you what, you interviewed extremely well because the people that interviewed you, Jessica, said nothing but great stuff. And you're doing a great job in Wisconsin, where I think, I'm not sure how many Hispanics are there, but you've captured every one of them and their businesses and others as well. But we're pleased because Jessica started out in her very first board meeting and it was like she'd been around for a long time. Anyway, I was excited to invite her today because it's always good to hear from other regions and other Hispanic chambers and what they're doing and how they're being successful. And so Jessica, I'm extremely pleased and excited to bring you as a guest to Region 2 and talk a little bit about what's going on in your great state and in your chamber. So thank you.
Thank you, Ernie. It's great to be with all of you. And I'll tell you, even before I joined the U.S. Hispanic Chamber, I was observing some of the things that you all were doing because I wanted to keep the authenticity of what we were trying to capture in our chamber. And so our chamber is a newer chamber, although we've been around for since 2013. It's a chamber that has grown by leaps and bounds in the past 4 years. So I arrived here in Madison from Milwaukee, which is a larger city in our states in Wisconsin. And I kind of wanted to do something different with this chamber. I knew that the population of Latinos are growing here in Wisconsin. And I'll tell you that I live in a city that only has 60,000 Latinos. It's in the middle of the state. We're growing rurally and not in the major cities. And I come from a city where there's 159,000 Latinos. So it takes some adjustment, right? It took some adjustment trying to figure out what's good for this population. You know, I couldn't come in here thinking that I was going to do things the way we do them in bigger cities. And like I was telling you, Ernie, earlier, I really learned how to adapt because of failures, right? So I was the executive director of the Volusia County Chamber of Commerce in Florida, and which is Daytona Beach. Love the beach, love the people, but it was a predominantly Latino community. And so when I moved to Wisconsin, back to Wisconsin, and I took this position, I realized that I couldn't do things the way I did them in Florida, right? Predominantly Spanish. The biculturalism is rampant there. Wisconsin, we have a growing number of first generation Latinos. You know, it's still very much an immigrant community. So the ideology behind what a chamber can do for your business is all new, right? It's basically teaching populations exactly, you know, what chambers do, why chambers are great for the economy, for our populations, and why unity, because I believe as all of you as chamber leaders really have to be aligned and create that alignment within your membership of how you can advocate and be the best, you know, I always say the best beacon of economic change and equality for, you know, the people you represent. And I'll be honest with you, the first couple of weeks here, I was just like, what are all the other chambers doing? So I did look at the Hispano Chamber. I love their marketing. I love the delivery. I looked at the Arizona Hispanic Chamber. I was like, what programming do they have? And you know, for me, it was really, I always feel like chambers shouldn't be in competition. We should all be, you know, really, in a sense, working in alignment, collaborating, and accessorizing each other's, you know, I want to say the good in all of our chambers. And so when I started here the first day, and I'll just say, I walked in and we were in a community center, and it was a little room, about 400 square feet. And I said, where's my office? And they're like, well, it's that desk right there. And so I kind of was like taken aback, and I was like, this is my office. And that night I got home, I contemplated, I was like, you know, we are not a social service agency, although we do provide service, right? We are an organization that has to really create benefits and be about the members. And in my realm of working, you know, working in the past 20 years, it is always to advocate for Latino populations that were underserved and also create equity, right? For me, it's how do we create equity, and how do we create equality for Latinos in an atmosphere that really does not, and I'll say here in Wisconsin, that doesn't give us a platform, right? I mean, we are predominantly a Caucasian state, right? We have, Latinos are struggling to keep their businesses alive here, to be relevant, to try to find resources, and sometimes we're just left out. And I think COVID showed us that, you know, we need to do a better job to tell our story. And I always say, we need to change the narrative. I mean, we need to own the narrative. So in that plight of getting here, walking into the community center and having a little room with, you know, 2 tables and a conference table, I dreamt up this idea that I think the Latino population in Wisconsin deserves a Latino Economic Development Center. And I think that we should have an opportunity to tell our stories and to advocate for our folks. And I always talk about how economic development and business development is a way out of poverty. And that is like the message in the state's capital, because, you know, I'm in the state's capital, and just recently we became the Wisconsin Latino Chamber of Commerce. So we changed our name. We took the place of the old Wisconsin Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, but did things a little differently. So let's forward from having 124 members in 2016 to being in a community center and having just a small desk in a corner, to now where we're at now, where we're at 400 members.
Wow.
You know, we have 2 offices, a location that actually is where, you know, I always say I have a cushy office. It looks really nice. but I'm always at the center that we call it Tu Empresa. So our entrepreneurship center is a beautiful 2,500 square foot location where the doors are always open for our members and for non-members and for entrepreneurs and startups and solopreneurs and multipreneurs and all those sexy terms that they use here in the city. You know, we have been able to catapult, you know, what it is to be unified, what it is to work together, what it is to create a broad focus on public service and how that looks through economic development, right? And one thing I'll tell you is working 10 years in government helped me narrate that story, right? Because I worked as a congressional liaison for Latino populations in Wisconsin. And everything that I learned is that policy really is important, and to narrate it in a way that your local municipalities and economic development corporations in your state, to narrate that and to actually verbalize it in a way that they understand it, will make you successful. A lot of the services that we provide are funded by CDBG grants and funding through public and private partnerships. And that was something that was in the making in the 4 years. Mind you, that the legacy board members and the founders that brought me on, there is not one that's left here, right? So we don't really, so even trying to get from the small room in that community center and purging it out of the community center, I had a little bit of a tip with my board members, because they said, well, how are we going to get our members now, right? And I just didn't think that our members, I think our members deserve to have their own place, you know, their own place to be able to congregate, to meet, for our board members to have a comfortable space where we're not going to the library, you know, that was happening. And so in the 4 years, not only did we double our funding, but we also developed these partnerships that have carried us through and I think they're going to carry us through for next 4 years, right? Some of the goals and outcomes that we want to develop here is, you know, in the beginning is we wanted to broaden our public focus. We wanted to strengthen our local and statewide initiatives. We wanted to define who and what we wanted to be known as, and then we wanted to create an incubator. And all those things did happen. So right now we have one of the most successful incubators of Latino and non-Latino or chambers and economic development organizations in the state. We graduate about 60 to 100 people a year in our incubators, depending on the dropout rate. With COVID, we started with 40 and we ended up with 25 incubators at the end of COVID. And that because of technological difficulties, that they didn't know how to do the Zoom calls and they didn't know how to, you know, be up to par with technology. But in the second quarter, even during, and we're still during COVID, you know, now we have 64 new startups that are starting their companies here. And we are a Spanish specific organization. So all our classes are in Spanish. They're, you know, our niche is the Latino market, but we're culturally, and, you know, I would say we're bicultural, but our niche is just Spanish speaking individuals who are looking to start new businesses. Because what we've been able to do is partner with multiple chambers that are non-Latino and offer them Latino programming. And so we have a toolkit that we offer our member partners, one being like the city of Madison, Fitchburg. There's other cities, Sauk City. These are all small towns that are around that have growing Latino populations. And so what we did is we developed a toolkit for them to be able to reach out to Latino business owners in their area. And that has been, you know, one of the most successful programs that we have. We also now are dabbling in workforce development. And why? Because I think that our populations need the opportunity to scale. So, you know, for example, my mother came here and my grandparents came here as migrant workers. How do we get those US born citizens to actually understand what opportunities there are? So we've developed this advancement tool with a local organization called Generator to get our use into technology and into the future trades like artificial intelligence. Madison, Wisconsin's number 2 to Silicon Valley that is in research studies and in AE type technology. They're the ones that are really advancing that workforce model for those areas. And so we don't want to be behind. So we're working on trying to figure out how do we mobilize our population in those areas. And I'll tell you, I mean, I have if I share with you, and I know this sounds like this is the list of the programs we have, right? We have an incubator, a minority certification program, a second-tier mentorship program to SCORE, emerging business development access to enterprise program, technical assistance is number 1. The programs are rampant, and one of the things that we love to do is educate. So like the premise of everything we do is around education and how do we evolve our population of business owners through education and developing that capacity. And it has been truly what has captivated audiences outside the Latino community. They're saying, you know, we have the African American community saying, how are you doing this? How are you getting Latinos to be invested? And we love to like share the story. We love to also share, you know, the mechanism and the infrastructure on how we did that. So it's been a phenomenal ride. You know, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but, you know, I know that we're going to be awarded the number 1 small chamber in the nation, which is exciting. But I'll tell you that it's not, I always say it's not me, you know, because I'm always like the one that's just the speaker or the one that's talking and the one that's creating infrastructure. But I have a great team of professionals that really care about mobilizing Latino populations and mobilizing our small businesses. So, you know, I have when I was looking at how I was going to change the chamber, I always thought I need people who have skills that I don't have. And so I brought in an economics professor from the local college and I convinced him to join my team. I brought in someone who, and everyone has a small business, someone who's done customer service for a huge corporation. And they have really like upped the game as far as like how we're going to deliver our services, what type of support we're going to provide our small businesses. One of the biggest issues we have with our small businesses is understanding their capacity to grow. We have a lot of stagnant businesses. So 20 years in existence, and they haven't been able to, you know, expand their market. So, you know, we have a track for that and a track to help them understand how to, understand technology, how to expand their marketing, how to reach out to new, non-Spanish speaking entities, how to, and I want to say how to make their brand sexier, more appealing. You know, what do we do to attract different populations? And so I always say that from 124 members in 4 years to 400 and, maybe 4 or 5, our chamber really has made an impact, and we're excited to see what's going to happen now that we've, last week that we announced that we're a statewide organization. So, what further impact can we provide? What can we do on the end of legislation to help expand the awareness of our Latino business needs, right? And I'll tell you, as far as programming, we've developed really advanced models of learning. So we not only do we use Zoom, to help our business owners expand, we bring in various corporate and corporate members and small business owners who are already experts in each industry to teach the classes that we give here at the chamber. So it's this circular, give back model. One of the best things that I could tell you is in our programming as well is we're teaching these small businesses procurement, how to apply for those contracts. What do you need? And this is from scratch. So they come in, we get them their DUNS number. We teach them why they should have a DUNS number. We advocate for them at the state level to get these contracts. There is a lot of back end work that goes around that, because not only are we inviting these entities in, but we, at this point, the Latino Chamber also has a partnership with all these government agencies. So the DOR, which is the Department of Revenue, they come and they give classes to our members on how to file their taxes, why filing their taxes are important. And some people, they're like, well, that's kind of like, business 101, that's very basic, right? But our populations need to be reminded of the importance of how to file correctly. During COVID, we saw that, through the CARES Act, millions and millions of dollars went out to different communities except ours, right? And so a lot of it had to do with the capacity to actually apply, the capacity to understand the applications. Even in Spanish, people were lost. And so our chamber, we partnered with several schools and teachers that could teach them how to apply. And so we had like a 200-man, volunteer base at right after March to help these businesses apply for PPP, apply for for some of the grants, the free money that was out there, and that was for us the saving grace of a lot of our businesses. So, it's really important. I always say to raise the bar high, to as a business owner, to do things that we weren't really accustomed to doing prior, but that business owners needed, right? And so, right now we have, not only do we have a partnership with the local university and college on how to pipeline people who come into the chamber who might think that they're ready to start a business, but are just looking to, to have some form of income or some form of skill set. So what we do is we have an assessment process when they come to the chamber, and we refer them out to the local technical college. We show them what other avenues there are if they're not ready for entrepreneurship. And if they're ready for entrepreneurship and they need additional skills in the trades, we partner with trade associations to give them those skills. Like right now we have a special partnership with the electrical trades, that they are looking for Latinos to take some of those apprenticeship programs. So there's just a lot that can be done. The economic blueprint of the state is expanding, it's growing. There are jobs out there. What's happening is that we don't have the population that is trained to take those jobs. So, some of the advocacy points that, that I lobby for at the state level is, how do we condense some of the training? How do we make it just 6 to 8 weeks rather than a year, rather than 6 months, so that we can get the workforce retrained, recalibrated, and going again? And so this job has been fun. I love being in this position. I'll tell you, just recently I was asked to join the governor's cabinet, and it was kind of like they said, this is a no-brainer, you should just join. But the work we do is so important to our small business communities and the evolution of the economy, and how we as leaders mobilize the economy through best business practices, and again, setting the bar high for our business owners to understand where they're at and how they're part of that economy. And I think that's what has been really, really impactful for our chamber in making a difference. And so, again, I don't think I could be where I'm at. I'm looking at I think it's a Pueblo background, right? The Pueblo Latino Chamber of Commerce. And I've been in your website, and I've seen like the programming you're doing and the impact. And I really do think that these newer chambers that are coming up need that experience, that tenure, the longevity of life and the understanding of what you've done to be where you're at. Because again, when I decided to kind of reprogram or recalibrate the chamber's focus, I really did take from every one of you. I'm like looking at these like logos and I'm like, wow, these are amazing organizations that have been in existence way before our organization. So we had to like, again, figure out, you know, one of the things is I remember when I came here, I was just like, well, we're like every other small non-Latino chamber, right? Like, we were just operating, we had no essence, no tradition, no value system. And the first thing I told the legacy staff that is no longer here is, you know, we are a Latino chamber. We have to be proud of our roots, our history, our story. We have to remodify the economy to fit who we are. And we have to continue to be in front of you know, industry that we're a very key part of, and the industry that doesn't really acknowledge us, right? So one of the things that we continue to do is meet with the industry leaders, try to figure out, you know, what they need from us to mobilize and scale our populations and allow us to really be at the table. You know, right now, I think in our state, and I think you guys might all know, you know, Wisconsin has been in the forefront of you know, racial inequality in the news, right? And so if you go downtown in the city where I live in downtown, you'll see all the boarded up businesses, and it hurts my heart. So one of the issues that I had just had to deal with is, do we as Latinos, you know, support our businesses, or do we support the movement, or how do we balance both, right? Because one of the issues was, you know, if you support these businesses downtown, then you're against our movement, and it's far from the truth. It's far from the truth. So, you know, we made a statement that, you know, Black Lives Matter, we support the movement. We also made a statement that the economy is important and that we have to continue to support our Latino-owned businesses because this is their livelihood. So sometimes being in these positions, you have to take a stand, and especially when you're in a predominantly non-Latino region, you really have to make a bigger boom, right? You have to, the narrative has to be stronger. The advocacy has to be a lot more poised to the moment, and you have to take those hard decisions. So we actually did our ribbon cutting and our announcement of Hispanic Heritage Month right on the state's capital, where all the businesses are closed, because we want to reopen. We want to have them. We want to have that opportunity to advocate for the remobilization of our economy. We need it. So those are things that this chamber is doing, and you know, we will continue to evolve and grow. And I'm hoping that in the next 3 weeks that we can announce, you know, a couple new programs that we have in the pipelines. And again, everything we do is really with partnerships, and with strong partnerships with government, strong partnerships with the private sector, and also strong partnerships with, you know, educational facilities and institutions. So I am, you know, in these 2 months that I've been on the U.S. Hispanic Chamber Board, I'm learning a whole different way of even approaching some of these industry leaders and government agencies, and they're giving me this information on the narrative, right? You know, a lot of it is sometimes self-taught, and now with the direction of Ramiro Cavazos, it's been, you know, truly inspiring to see, you know, how he, you know, talks about the job loss, and how he talks about the Latino impact on our economy. And you know, again, I'm just really, you know, proud of what you all are doing, how you're mobilizing your local economies. And, you know, I want to continue to serve in that capacity.
Well, thank you so much, Jessica. It has been definitely a pleasure to hear from you. I think we all learned a lot, and I definitely appreciate what you're doing out there. And I look forward to chatting with you when we have more time, because I definitely think there's some really, really interesting initiatives and programs that you're working on, and you know, always expanding what we're doing at our own chambers, and learning from each other, like you said, is just amazing. So that was really inspirational, and I'm glad you've been able to really get out there and advocate for our Hispanic businesses. It's a huge thing, and we all need to be coming together at this time. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. So we're probably gonna lose one or two of our panelists coming up. I know we have some people that have some hard stops, and we got started a little bit late, but I want to kind of roll into a little bit, because Jessica kind of already started the conversation about the USHCC and how she got involved and the importance of what that does. And so I think I want to take it over to Monica from Arizona here for just a few minutes. Monica, tell us about what USHCC means to Arizona, what it means to your chamber, and what have you been doing with that, and how can we encourage your members to join in on the national conference?
Sure. Thank you so much, Shannon. And first and foremost, welcome, Jessica, to the group. It's a pleasure to have you and to hear all the great things that you've been doing. And now being on the national board is a big win for us. It's always great to see strong Latinas in those roles. So thank you so much for your representation in Wisconsin. Here in Arizona, the USHCC, you know, is really a bellwether for the rest of the country, and what we need to do to make sure that our members are getting the information, the resources, and the tools that they need to succeed. Under Ramiro's leadership, I think we've seen a lot more trickle down and really pour down from the main organization, you know, our headquarters in DC. And so we're encouraging our members to participate in the convention, not just because, you know, they're members of our organization, but because it makes business sense. It will add substantial value to their business to be able to not only learn from the workshops and the seminars and all of that, but to meet folks that may be going through something similar in other parts of the country. So we're very excited to be a part of it, very supportive of the USHCC, Ramiro and his leadership, and I'm so proud to be part of the best region, of course, in the USHCC. So thank you all, and look forward to seeing you at the convention.
Well, thanks, Monica. You know, we're going to miss seeing you face to face this year. Monica brought her team last year. We were so lucky to host USHCC last year, National Convention in Albuquerque, and we were able to see so many faces last year. So it's going to be a little different this year. But, you know, I want to just talk for a second about what Monica said. And, you know, there is a lot of training. There's a lot of programs, training, excitement, and all of that is fantastic. But it's the people that you meet. It's the people that you grow and learn and build business with over time that begins that family, that extended family that we all get to collaborate with over the following months and the years that we build those relationships from USHCC. And that's what it's all about. You know, something that USHCC does every year is they award the small businesses of the year and all that great stuff. And, you know, as a business owner myself, the excitement of who is that going to be, and how do I get to that level? What do I need to do to achieve and attain those awards and those goals that I'd like to set for my business? And that's all great stuff that you can learn at the national conference, and again, collaborating, working with others. So I kind of want to just go down the list here, and I'm going to pick on Joe just because he's next to Monica on my screen. And so what I really wanted to say to you, Joe, is, you know, kind of the same question. Tell us a little bit about USHCC, and, you know, that's, like, I guess you could say our umbrella, our parent, whatever you want to call it, organization. And it's just a real pleasure, because look what it does. It brings all these community leaders together. So Joe, give us your share, your
Sure.
take on it.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. And Jessica, congratulations on all the work that you're doing and being recognized as that small chamber. I guess Ernie forgot to vote for the Colorado Springs Hispanic Chamber for the Small Chamber of the Year. So you owe me a bushel of Hatch chili, Ernie. So I'll give you my address. So But great work, Jessica, well earned. You know, I see the USHCC as evolving under the new leadership. So, you know, we're looking to see what type of resources that they can make available to us. And that's, you know, a challenge for smaller chambers, is having access to resources and being able to go to the USHCC and get those resources. And I also see them as better serving us in the trickle down effect with a lot of your national partners. A perfect example is I've reached out to NBC Comcast for some support at the national level, hopefully to trickle down to the regional level. And I haven't gotten a reply yet. And that's that's somebody that's serving on your board. So I would expect, if we have access to board members, that we get some type of response and some type of support from them, because that's our expectation, is for them to be the leaders, to communicate with us, and maybe help support our needs out here in these the regions that we are, because we can see at the national level many national partnerships. However, we have a very difficult time at the lower level to make those partnerships and get those local franchises and national partners. At the local level, they probably don't even know that a Toyota, an NBC, Comcast are National Hispanic Chamber partners. So, you know, having that communication down at the lowest levels, I think, is important for us, because, as you know, chambers operate on revenue. And if we can get a slice of the pie from some of these larger corporate partners at the regional and local levels, that's going to help us survive long term, because, you know, we are here to help serve those Hispanic businesses, but we need to have the tools and resources available to us to help those small businesses grow. And I think this is an opportunity with the national conference for our members to be engaged. But as we know, we're competing for small business owners' time right now. And maybe those windows of opportunity during this national conference do not meet their availability to participate, because small business owners have a bottom line, especially in this crisis, to emerge out of it successfully. So timing, a lot of times, is very important. And that's what we battle with on a day-to-day basis with our membership. We have a full schedule of 40 different events this year. Finding the time that our business owners can make in order to participate in a lunch and learn series, or in a on value speaker series that we have, so they can learn about business, learn about how they can scale their business. I find that has the biggest challenge for a lot of our small businesses, especially our Hispanic owned, the little Mexican restaurant in a strip mall that wants to scale, but they fear what scaling looks like when they grow their business to a larger market, and kind of influence them and making them comfortable to take those next steps to expand their market, to have more of a presence on social media platforms to promote their business. So, you know, looking for a lot of those opportunities and resources to start trickling down to us at the lower levels, versus us having to develop some of those tools.
Hey, Joe, did you send it to Jackie Puente?
Yes, I did.
Well, you should copy me on those.
Okay, I will. I'll forward what I sent to her.
Okay.
And so, Joe, I want to just talk for a minute about some of the things you said. And I really, we believe me, being in the chamber business, we understand the time constraint that business owners are going through right now, on top of all of the added pressures of what the world is in the, today, literally in our communities. And so one of the great things that I was flipping through as you were talking, because it got me thinking, are some of the topics that are going to be happening at this year's convention, because there is topics in there that are focused specifically for business owners. Now, we say the United States Hispanic National Convention, but it's not just for chambers. It is for individual business owners who can come and learn in so many different sessions that they offer. And so some of those, I was looking at the one on Monday, which I know I will definitely want to definitely be attending, is, America's business future. And I think that right now is so important, to hear from Ramiro and different people who are really working to figure out what does that look like to help support that trickle down that you're talking about. Elevating your capability statement. We were talking with Jessica about the procurement and what they're doing with procurement in her state. And we all have some version of procurement through our chambers. And so learning the importance of a capability statement. And, you know, recently I was working with a client who actually used their capability statement for a loan. They had everything prepared and ready, and it's not always about doing business with the federal, state, or local. So I thought that that was really interesting. Supplier diversity, what does that mean? You know, a lot of people right now are talking about, hey, wait a minute, I can't get this product, I can't get that product. And it's like, well, because of COVID, that affects the supply chain. Let us explain to you how that works. And then that really helps small businesses understand why they're struggling to get certain supplies right now. I think that there's going to be a time where there's going to be some virtual booths and time for participants to go through and meet other vendors and some of the products that they service. I mean, as chambers, as business owners, we're always looking for point of sale systems or really cool things that are out there, and so there'll be some trade show in that. There's also a topic on bridging the wealth divide with JP Morgan, and then of course our favorite, women in business. So I always want to hear from those fabulous ladies up there talking about how they're making it work, of course, and then there's always the business matchmaking. So there's a lot of fun stuff for small businesses, but I think you're right. I think what's great about this year's summit is because it's virtual, you can pick the ones that you want to go to. You can tend to business at other times of the day. And so thank you for bringing that up, because it is important that we support that and understand that for sure. Just because you're next to Joe, Stephen, I'm going to pick on you next. And before I do, I just want to tell you, we had a comment from somebody in Colorado, so I'm not sure whose page it's on, but we had a comment from Jose talking about procurement and accountability for counties and municipalities and states when it comes to really true inclusion of Latinos. And they need to be investing in that through our chambers. And so I just want to talk to you a little bit that Stephen, since you're in Colorado and you're next, coming from one of your constituents out there who is definitely saying, I want to be part of this, but we do need that accountability.
Well, thank you, Shannon. I appreciate it very much. And again, to Jessica, a welcome and congratulations on the work being done at the Chamber. You know, so many of us have a story like that of things that we have worked on or overcome over a number of years, and we continue to do so. You know, the one word that oftentimes comes to mind when I think about the work of chambers is flexibility and adaptation. Our ability as organizations to adapt to the conditions around us, especially now during these times of COVID, has been phenomenal. And the ways by which we have been able to be flexible in our programming and innovate and create in order to support members. And, to that comment that you mentioned there, Jose is a dear friend of ours here at the Latino Chamber. Actually, it resides in the northern part of the state, but is certainly right. He and I, as well as many others, have had many conversations about, when we talk about the world of procurement, when we talk about, Latino-owned businesses or just businesses in general, the world of procurement, doing business with the government, et cetera, we also have to be mindful of what is the education that goes behind that. Sometimes when we come to the tables, it's not just a way to say we need to see more of this. It's we need to be educated more on how this can impact our community and lift us as a whole. And those are the types of things and the types of programs that we focus on specifically here as well, that when we have those conversations and when we are talking to a business or to a member, it's not just about how do we get from point A to point B, but how do we understand why to get from point A to point B? And what does that mean for our community, whether that be local, whether that be state, or whether that be regionally? I will agree with the comment made earlier that we are the best region across the country here in Region 2. Sorry to the others that may be tuning in. But a part of that is because we come together regularly, as I know many others do as well, and we have constant communication, educating and sharing with one another about programs, about resources, about all the things that we may be doing individually that are helping us collectively. One of the things that I think is extremely important and why we value our connection with the United States Hispanic Chamber is because when it comes to diversity of thought, when you walk into that room at a national convention or when you jump on a Zoom meeting like this here today, there is diversity of thought, there is diversity of backgrounds, there is diversity of business. And that is what we have to look at when we start talking about holding organizations accountable, or really looking at the world of procurement and getting more. These are the types of things that help us do that, is being more mindful and aware of the diversity around us that could help us wherever we may be lacking in a particular area. That may be someone's strength, and how we bring that onto the team, much like Jessica mentioned, is critical. And as chambers, as you all know, we operate, lean and mean. That is a key part of how we are able to accomplish and move things forward together, not individually, no longer in silos, but it is my belief that by collaborating with one another, whether it be a national platform like this, which USHCC provides all year round, or collaborating within our region and understanding how up and down one interstate we can close that gap, utilize the resources around us, and truly have an impact so that we can move the needle forward on those things that we talk about, like procurement and other components there. Educating our entities around us, whether that be governmental or corporations, about the need for investment, but more importantly, about the impact of investment. That, I think, is where we have seen most of that conversation be more impactful for all of us, whether it be chambers or members, and how we can continue to work together as we look to move out of these times of COVID and forward. That's how it's going to get done, by bringing all of those things. So it's a balance of it all. And USHCC has certainly helped to play a role with that, as well as my colleagues here on the call and many others that weren't able to be on today.
So thank you, Stephen, for that. I really appreciate it. And I just love, every time I get to speak with you guys and have this conversation with you guys, how exciting it is that we are all talking about collaboration, because we learn. That's how we learn. And it's so important, because when we build that small business economic platform, the community grows, city grows, the state grows, and it's such a really big deal and much needed, obviously, right now at this time. So Mitchell, tell us, how USHCC plays a role in your chamber, and how important it is, and what can we do to encourage folks to join us this weekend. I'll make sure and mention all of the dates and times, but I just want to give you a chance to share.
I appreciate the time. Being a veteran, I really enjoyed the conversation that we're having about procurement. One of the things that I do is, or that we do here, is we connect the dots. One of those dots is Latino veterans and their businesses, and how they basically are a good resource, and we just forget to tap them into. I'm kind of out of my way, being a veteran, being a Latino, to make sure that other Latino businesses and businesses in general in our community are aware of veteran Latinos and opportunities like that sometimes escape us. There's good opportunities and there's great opportunities. Sometimes we get so wrapped up in what's in front of us, we would forget what's at the national level. And the national level could bring it a plethora of things. For example, the World Trade Center and the many grants that they're providing, for Latinos and for international business. International business is something that we should really concentrate about, especially today in this kind of world that we live in this COVID world, whether it's e-commerce or whatever however you start it, it's gonna augment your current business, So what we try to do is we concentrate on connecting the dots for everybody, not specifically for what we think is right, but we listen to our people and our members, and we see what's right for them and what they want, and we give them also the list of resources that we presently have. So in answer to your question, the National Chamber is amazing for that, and bringing the information that we need, that we not necessarily don't have right in front of us, that could actually make a difference and act as a catalyst for one of the businesses. So we're proud, and we're looking forward to a long relationship with the National Chamber. So
I appreciate that. I think hearing from you guys speaking to that is so important to the listening audience. And as we start to kind of wind down the hour, Ernie, if you'd like to talk to us a little bit about what USHCC has meant to us here at the Hispano and obviously to you, but how really it has propelled our chamber and what how we use it to enhance our small businesses and encourage them as well. And you are on mute because I know you're thinking and you're going to speak, and I don't know if you know you're on mute.
Well, they're a trusted resource, and I'm privileged, as Jessica is, to serve on the board. And let me just tell you, we have a tremendous board. And so today, this morning, we elected the incoming chair. So Carmen Castillo is leaving, and Alice Rodriguez is replacing her. She's with JP Morgan, and it's a 2-year stint. But we elected Nelson Ranieri to be the chair after she is. And let me tell you that there were 3 candidates. All of them are passionate. You know what's so cool about listening to you all? And Jessica, you started off, how passionate we are about what we do. You cannot be passionate about small business and about chamber work and be successful. You have to be passionate. If you're not going to be successful. And you can see that in every one of you. It's in your DNA. And so it's in our DNA. And today, Nelson, I asked him the question, is, what would be success at the end of 4 years? After you're done, what would be the success when you're done? And he said, to be the biggest, the best, the trusted, most, and not Hispanic business organization, but business organization in the country. So we have goals that are that big on the board. And believe you me, I think with that board that we have, there is a chance we could be that, because I think everyone else might be not as passionate as we are. And I think now that we had a downturn at our USHCC a few years ago, and I think we are on the uptick and we're growing just like the country's growing with Hispanics. And I know there's going to be a huge need for Hispanics on boards and C-suite positions, which is a passion of mine, to make sure that we get that done. And so I think no matter what USHCC is to anybody, it is a platform for all of us to really propel our businesses and our people to the next level, to where we really belong. I know we're in the midst of a presidential debate that's going on in a couple of days here. They've been invited to the USHCC. I hope they attend because it's by Zoom. But let me tell you, there is a lot of discussion within our board about the fact that there needs to be more interest by both of these candidates with the USHCC and our people and our businesses and our voting bloc. So I hope that people realize that, and the USHCC is going to be a continued platform to make it grow. And I know I got a couple of folks that want to host it. Colorado Springs wants to host a national convention. Boy, I tell you what, they have the Broadmoor there in Colorado Springs, and if we ever turn that down, we're crazy.
I'm in.
So I mean, we'll be fighting for that, Joe. I didn't have a vote on the Small Business Chamber, but I will have a vote.
Okay, I'm counting on you. I'm
will.
counting on you.
So
Because we can ask to be in a different district if you don't pull for it.
I'm excited for us all, guys. I think and I love our Region Talks. I mean, it really is helpful. Everybody here is so passionate about what they're doing. So, thank you all.
Well, I think to close up this hour, because we could go on and on. It's so much fun. Obviously, being in chamber work in general is you have to have it from the inside. You have to have a lot of passion because it takes a lot. It's a lot to support small businesses. Hundreds of small businesses on top of one single small business, but also wanting to make sure that we're providing for the growth of our economy, growth of our communities, and so those are really, really important. So it's always wonderful to collaborate with this region and hear from, incredible leaders as well, like Jessica. And again, thank you for joining us. So guys, what we're talking about today is really about chamber culture. This month we're celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month, and it seemed so appropriate to bring these leaders together from their areas and to talk about how important it is to celebrate not just our culture as in our food, as in our, clothing and our music and all the things that make us who we are, Hispanics, Latinos, all of that, but also about what is it that drives the community that we're in. And chamber culture is very unique, and I think that's why it was exciting to have everybody on today. So part of that is we were wanting to make sure that you guys knew that the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce National Convention starts on Sunday. Starts on Sunday at 2:30 Eastern Time. And so we are, going to be part of that. We hope that you out there in the community, that you guys hop on. You can log on to USHCCconference.com. That's USHCCconference.com. So there is 3 C's in there, just in case you're typing going, is this right? And you can get all the information. You can look at the agenda, you can register online. That way you get your link and you can log in and out over Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Lots of topics to choose from. Invite your team to share with you. Invite the team to watch with you. Pick the topics and stories that are programs that are best for you, in hopes that you guys will learn and grow and meet new people. Attend the booth space activities. Meet everybody that you can. Take advantage of the expos, the sponsor booths. Those things are so important to build relationships. So I want to say a huge thank you to Ramiro and Ramiro Cavazos and team. No relation, Jessica, right? No relation. Because all of a sudden Cavazos all over USHCC. We got Leroy, and now we have Jessica. I told Ernie a while ago, are they all related? He goes, no, at all. So you do not have to be a Cavazos to be a part of the USHCC, just so you guys know that. But we are excited. We hope that you guys will join us. We really, really appreciate the opportunity last year to host. It was a huge success. The city really came together. The business owners came together. They all participated. It was wonderful. We hope that all of these chambers get the opportunity to do that in the future. And of course, we hope that on those special celebrations that we get to host again sometime in our lifetime and celebrate where they incorporated, which is in New Mexico. And so we're excited to be partners with USHCC and Ramiro and team. So good luck to them this weekend. We know what it takes to put that on, and we were right behind the scenes last year, and so we are pulling for you guys. It's going to be amazing. We've had a lot of practice on virtual, a lot of practice on webinars, and how to make those happen. And so we're excited to see what you guys have for us this year. So I hope to see all of you, not just on the screen, but everybody out there that is watching at USHCC this year. And we're going to find out all kinds of fun stuff, including other chambers of the year. So I'm excited about that. And so as soon as we do that, we'll be making some announcements. But in the meantime, you guys have a great week. Take care of yourselves out there. Enjoy your weather wherever you may be, unless you're in Colorado. I don't even know how they can breathe in 100-degree weather, but apparently that's what it was. And we will see you guys on Sunday. It's 12:30 Eastern, wherever you are in the country. Know your time zones there. And we hope to see you on Monday and Tuesday as well at the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce National Convention. We'll see you all later.
Thanks.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.